Welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything on the table in the world of college basketball. Purdue continues to build their Big Ten resume with another home win, this time over the Washington Huskies, but it didn't end how most of us thought it would looking at that halftime score. But without further ado, let's run it. Purdue's return home featured some offensive sparks, especially from Braden Smith, against a Washington team that's scrappy, loves comebacks, and just can't seem to escape injuries. It was all Boilers in the first half, but the Huskies came storming back all the way to a single-digit game before the Boilers were able to close it out with a final score of Purdue 81, Washington 73. The Boilers got off to an electric start, jumping out to a 9-0 lead less than 2 minutes into this one, but back-to-back Husky threes would keep it from getting too crazy right off the bat. Braden Smith led the way early for the Boilers offensively, taking advantage of some soft ball screen coverage and hunting for his shots early and often. Purdue held a steady lead for most of the half until another quick 8-0 run starting around the 8-minute mark would propel that lead up to 16 with a score of 31-15 just a minute later. The Boilers offense would keep humming for the rest of the half and hold on to that lead, going into the break up 17, 45-28, and we were feeling great. The beginning of the second half was more of the same, with that 17-point lead extended to 23 with three quick buckets from TKR and Clough before both sides settled in for a bit. Washington finally started to get some more shots to fall, but with Purdue still having their way on offense, they still held on to a 20-point lead halfway through the second half. But that's when you started to see the wheels fall off a bit for the Boilers. A quick 9-2 run cut that lead back to 13 with just under 8 minutes to go, and you felt some serious momentum start to swing the Huskies' way. They stalled there for a while with that 13-point lead holding up until the 4-minute mark, but Washington had one last flurry left in them. A Kamari Peterson three cut it to single digits with 3 minutes to play, and I'll admit I started stressing just a bit. But we found just enough offense between Cox, TKR, Lawyer, and Braden Smith in the last couple of minutes to keep them at arm's reach, with the final score ending at 81-73. Heading into the top performers, it starts off with Braden Smith, who really got going on the offensive side of the ball this game, with 23 points on a very efficient 10 of 15 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3, 2 for 3 from the free throw line with a rebound, 7 assists, 3 steals, but 6 turnovers. Behind him was TKR with 14 points of his own on 6 of 11 shooting, 0 for 1 from 3, 2 for 3 from the free throw line as well with 14 rebounds, 6 assists, but also, just like Braden, 6 turnovers. For Washington, they were led by Hannes Steinbach, the German freshman who is proven to be quite the young player, with 17 points on a very efficient 7 of 11 shooting, 1 for 3 from 3, 2 for 4 from the free throw line, with 4 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 turnovers. Behind him, Zoom Diallo with 14 points of his own, 5 of 9 shooting, 1 for 1 from 3, a rebound, 8 assists, and 5 turnovers. For the honorable mentions for Purdue, it's CJ Cox, who put up 11 points on 3 of 8 shooting, 2 for 6 from 3, 3 for 3 from the free throw line with 3 rebounds and 3 assists. And for Washington, it was Frank Kepnang, who had quite little 10 points of his own on 4 of 6 shooting, 2 for 3 from the free throw line, and 10 rebounds with 2 steals and 2 turnovers. So a quick little double-double for him. Heading into the key team points for Washington, it was a tale of two halves. This game looked entirely over at halftime, with Purdue holding a 17-point lead and Washington only having 28 points. But they completely flipped the switch midway through the second half, and all of a sudden everything started falling. They shot just 33% from the floor and 23% from 3 in the first half, but in the second half that turned into 53% from the floor and 38% from 3. Two separate runs of 8-0 and 9-4 cut the lead to single digits with 3 minutes to go. They're known for being a comeback team, and if Purdue didn't build that lead to 20 plus in the second half, they honestly would have had a pretty good chance of creating another miracle comeback. Secondly, it's team rebounding. Frank Kepnang led the Huskies in rebounding with 10, and Steinbach second only with 4, highly unusual for the leading rebounder in the entire Big Ten. The bigger issue is that the entire rest of the team combined for just 11 rebounds, with 5 players getting 1 each. They only ended up with 25 rebounds as a team, falling very short of their average as a team of 39. Purdue is a very good rebounding team with Clough and TKR as a starting front court, only to be backed up by 7'4" Jacobson, but it's very hard to win games getting out-rebounded by a lot. And the margin in this one ended up at 37-25. A couple more key rebounds go their way, especially on the defensive end, and this could have been a very different game. Lastly, it's the fact that they can be very dangerous when healthy. Now at 9-6, Washington does not have a great resume by any means, but they've been battered and bruised throughout so much of the season, missing key players for honestly the majority of their games. Steinbach has missed a couple of games. Wesley Yates has missed their last four to get minor wrist surgery that he's hopefully going to recover quickly from. And Desmond Claude has also missed 4 games. Those three guys make up three of their top four scorers on this team. And that doesn't even mention Lathan Somerville, who's missed 4 games and is a big reason why the Huskies are struggling with front court depth right now. If Washington can get healthy and stay healthy for the second half of Big Ten play, don't be surprised to see them pull off a random big upset or go on a win streak, because they are certainly not a team to be overlooked, even in this damaged, partial state that they're in right now. But heading over to Purdue, it's the opposite tale of two halves. Just as I mentioned earlier, it looked like Purdue was running away with this one, even a decent way into the second half when they were up 20 plus and seemed like they just had Washington on the ropes. But the shots stopped falling for a while. Not completely, but we just didn't have very much rhythm on offense. Then the turnovers started to creep in, all while Washington started knocking down shot after shot, and that just gave them a lot of momentum. This is now the second game in a row that should have ended in complete blowout fashion that became closer than it should have been by the end. At least the Wisconsin game never got down to single digits, and that one was on the road. Purdue has got to find ways to close games because not every team is going to allow the Boilers to build up a 20-plus point lead for them to slowly lose as the clock ticks down. And secondly, it's Fletcher Loyer. Unfortunately, we are in the stretch of the season where Loyer goes a bit cold, and we need to sit and wait patiently until he shoots his way out of it. I will always trust him shooting the ball, but there is no denying that he is struggling a bit right now. Last game, going 4 for 10, felt better, but 0 for 4 in this one with multiple wide open threes, some in transition, which are his favorite. Something's just not quite right now. Since the beginning of December, Loyer is shooting 15 for 54 from beyond the arc, just 27.7% for a guy who is a career 40% average shooter and was also shooting something like 44% from three before this stretch. I have no doubt he will bounce back. He always does, but I certainly hope it's sooner rather than later because Purdue's opponents are going to get a lot tougher pretty soon. And lastly, it's sloppy turnovers. A big part of Washington building so much momentum and cutting so far into Purdue's lead in the second half was the sloppy turnovers that gave the Huskies easy buckets they just didn't have to work very hard for. Both Braden Smith and TKR had 6 turnovers apiece, and 6 of Purdue's 14 turnovers as a team came in the second half. Not a wild number, but some of them were very timely and just added to the momentum that the Huskies were already building. This goes hand in hand with finishing games. They need to not get sloppy when the shots aren't falling. You got to give yourself every chance to get points on the board when the offense isn't quite in rhythm as much as it usually is. It's one thing to get the occasional dead ball turnover, like an illegal screen, bad pass out of bounds, maybe over the back on an offensive rebound, but we just gave up a few too many live steals that made things too easy for Washington down the stretch. But coming up next, Purdue gets to stay at home as the Penn State Nittany Lions come to town tomorrow afternoon. Well, they'll be looking for a major upset to be their statement win of the season. But that's all I've got for today. The games keep rolling on, so we do the same. Keep an eye out for more recaps as I keep churning these out on these couple-day turnarounds. But I appreciate each and every one of you who makes it this far in these videos. But if you want more from us, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I'm out.